Hey guys, thank you for the video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to talk about the iPhone SE second edition going into 2023. If the phone is still worth it, what can you expect out of this year? And can I compare it with the new iPhone SE third generation that was released last year in March? So I'm going to give you a breakdown what you can expect out of this phone. So let's get started. As I mentioned, the iPhone SE here now was released back in April of 2020. So later this year, it's going to hit the 3-year mark, which seems to be a long time for iPhones, but again, 3 years isn't that long when you think about the software updates aspect of it. So as you can see here, it's a very pocket-sized phone. It has a 4.7-inch display, very light and simple, very much similar build to the iPhone 8, the small edition one, not the Plus model. And a lot of people even said the iPhone SE second edition sort of kind of resembles that, and it might even consider that parts from the iPhone 8 might have been recycled to make this phone. But as you can see here, both front and back are glass. You have a single 12 megapixel camera. Now in terms of color choices, this is the product red one that we have, but you can also get it in black and white. So there's a couple options for color choices that you have. And this body build here, as you can see, these rounded bezels, which makes it pretty cool. And then the other thing physically here, you'll notice here the phone does have a physical SIM card, which again on the iPhone 14 lineup, no longer there is a physical SIM in the US model. So that's kind of a plus point for the iPhone SE here. And as you mentioned, the Touch ID here, which makes this phone powerful for some people that really don't like to use Face ID. Other things to mention about the hardware is that it's equipped with A13 Bionic chip, which is not too far from the latest version of the chip that Apple has developed. And with 3 gigs of RAM, when it comes to performance, it definitely delivers power with the small size phone that we have here. And other things is the storage does start limited with 64 gig, but you can get it up to 256 gig on the model. And to kind of mention the battery life of it, when it comes to battery life, you get around 13 hours of video playback with the battery size of 1821 mAh, very similar to the iPhone 8 battery as well. And when it comes to camera, as we mentioned here, you have the 12 megapixel back camera, and the front camera is 7 megapixel. So it does take decent photos. It even has, as you can see, portrait mode available for the phone with the different settings that we have. And when it comes to video recording, you can actually record from 1080 all the way to 4K 60 frames per second. So a lot of power when it comes to that. But if you look at like a new phone, which the iPhone 14 lineup comes with things like cinematic mode and also action mode, those are not available, or photographic style, which are some of the updated features on the newer phone, and things like night mode aren't available. But for average user, the iPhone SE camera, again, is a decent camera, we would say overall. So kind of going back to the next thing, which is the software of this phone. So if we take a look at the software, you'll be surprised to find that you can update the iPhone SE second generation to the latest iOS 16 version, which we did, and take a look at a review of that video that we'll leave in the description section for you guys. But essentially, you can use all the features of iOS 16, which is the latest version. So this phone is supported. Now we expect this phone to be supported for another 2 to 3 years of major update, because it's only been in 2 years and a half going into almost 3 years later this year. We'll probably see a couple more updates to go. So in terms of updates, it's not going to be bad for this phone. So kind of bringing it back, is the iPhone SE 2020 edition worth it going into 2023? Well, it's definitely worth it, and for a couple reasons here. First thing is that it still delivers great performance and speed because of those 3 gigs of RAM and that A13 Bionic chip. You're not too far away from the speed that you get on the newer phones. Other thing about the phone is that if you like the physical SIM card, especially if you travel, it's a big plus point, because you can take a SIM card out if you have an unlocked phone and travel anywhere, and don't have to deal with the hassle of having an eSIM activated each time. And lastly, when it comes to other things, like if you're looking for a phone to do the basic stuff like social media, to just browsing, to just doing everyday tasks, even gaming wise, from light gaming to some of the heavier gaming, you'll find the iPhone SE definitely gets the job in terms of performance. So as we started to test out most of the application, you'll see here most of the applications are updated and they'll launch. Sometimes it takes a second or two, but once you're going, you'll see that the phone here can do the job for you in terms of that. So all of the apps work pretty well. Even when it comes to browsing on YouTube, you'll find that, again, once you open up the app, loaded, video is pretty good in terms of playback, and even when it comes to things like streaming music, you'll find that it's not that hard when you open up your favorite music streaming app to start using the phone. And other thing to mention about the iPhone SE here, that's kind of the sweet point, is the price that you can get it. Of course, Apple no longer sells it directly on their website or in store, so you'll have to look at eBay or Amazon, which will leave the link in the description section, and you can get this phone under $200. Definitely, if you're looking around, you can even score it under $150, which makes a great device for someone that don't care about having the latest and the greatest, but wants a decent phone to do basic things like calling, texting, and even light browsing, which this phone can do without any issues whatsoever. So those are kind of some plus point about this phone. And lastly, some of the cons about this phone, or things that this phone definitely could have, like things like a better battery life, maybe do 12 megapixel camera would definitely make things better, but nonetheless the camera still is great. And of course, no support for 5G, which is kind of the standard nowadays. So if you don't really care about those things in particular, you might be fine with a budget-friendly phone like the iPhone SE here, which is going to last you this year and many years to come. So that's kind of our take on the iPhone SE second edition. We want to hear from you guys. What's your thought on the iPhone SE? Leave a comment in the comment section. And thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.